Fentanyl users get free smoking gear in some cities, and now there's pushback. Now, there was an interesting article in the Washington Post today that I want to draw your attention to. You can see this headline: Fentanyl users get free smoking gear in some cities, and now there's pushback. In some regions, more drug users are smoking rather than injecting opioids, but communities are pushing back on handouts of safe smoking supplies. And it focuses on what's going on in Morgantown, West Virginia, that has been suffering with a fentanyl crisis for years. For years at this Duntown Public Health Clinic, staffers have given drug users small glass pipes along with sterile needles and other supplies. The strategy: users might choose to smoke street drugs, limiting infected wounds and the spread of diseases that come with injecting. And these little kits and these glass pipes are known as safe smoking kits. Does any of this sound familiar? This all started in the first year of the Biden administration, these safe smoking kits, and it was first reported by our friends over at the Washington Free Beacon. It's a right of center conservative website that has been in the thorn in the side of the Biden administration and any Democrat administration, really. They discovered this story and started reporting on it. It's an investigative report, and the Free Beacon has won awards for their investigative reporting. In fact, you can see the safe smoking kits right here on your screen from Boston, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Richmond, New York City. These are called safe smoking kits. Patrick Hoff did the reporting, a fine young reporter. I don't think he's with the Free Beacon anymore. Crack pipes are distributed in safe smoking kits up and down the East Coast, raising questions about the Biden administration's assertion that its multi-million-dollar harm reduction grant program wouldn't funnel taxpayer dollars to drug paraphernalia. Yeah, that's right. None other than Jennifer Psaki, then the spokesperson for the Biden administration, was asked at a press briefing about this because Senator Marsha Blackburn was holding up funding on a certain program because she wanted an answer as to whether tax dollars were going to pay for crack pipes for drug addicts. I mean, say what you will about crack addicts. Take the president's son, Hunter, for example. When you're addicted to crack, you're going to figure out a way to get a pipe. Come hell or high water, if you need your crack, you're going to find a pipe. You don't need the government to give you a pipe, and you certainly don't need my tax dollars to pay for the pipe. I mean, those crack addicts, they're very industrious. They don't like getting jobs. They don't like taking care of their families. They don't like being good citizens and following the law. But they do like their crack. And one way to get the crack is to get a pipe for the crack. And if you don't have a pipe for the crack, you don't have crack. And so they figure out a way to get their pipe. So we certainly shouldn't have to pay for it, right? Well, Jen Psaki was asked about it, and here's what she said.
HHS just put out a statement clarifying around some reports that crack pipes are not going to be part of the safe smoking kits that are funded by the administration. But can you clarify for us, were they never a part of the kit, or were they removed in response to this reporting and this pushback?
They were never a part of the kit. It was inaccurate reporting, and we wanted to put out information to make that clear.
What is in the safe smoking kit?
A safe smoking kit may contain alcohol swabs, lip balm, other materials to promote hygiene and reduce the transmission of diseases like HIV and hepatitis. I would note that what we're really talking about here is steps that we're taking as a federal government to address the opioid epidemic, which is killing tens of thousands, if not more, Americans every single day, week, month of the year. We put out this statement, though, because there was inaccurate information out there, or I should say HHS put out this statement because there was inaccurate information out there. And we wanted to provide clarification on the allowable uses for the HHS harm reduction program. It's not a change in policy. This program, though, is focused on harm reduction strategies, including prioritizing the use of fentanyl test strips and clean syringes. And all of these harm reduction services that will be supported by these programs are intended to save lives from an epidemic that we know is.
Well, that's all just a lie. By the way, I do love the little touch where she says, we're trying to do something to address the opioid crisis in this country. And the way you address the opioid crisis is to make sure everyone has new pipes and sterile needles. Wait, no, that's going to assist them in continuing their opioid crisis. I guess it was around this time in the Biden administration where they said, yeah, we got a real opioid crisis here, and we've got some fentanyl issues. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's stop enforcing any security at the border and let the drug cartels and the Chinese just funnel as much of that stuff as they want across the border. I'm sure that'll help along with the free crack pipes. But you just heard her say unequivocally that no, there were no crack pipes ever involved in the safe smoking kits. Oh, by the way, CNN then did their dutiful job. Here it is, February of 2022. Fact check. We love it when they fact check. Biden administration isn't funding crack pipes. Of course they're not. Last week, an article claiming that the Biden administration planned to give away crack pipes to drug addicts went viral, eliciting outrage on the right. It's always outrage on the right that gets them excited. And prompting a series of clarifications from the administration, February 7th article in the Washington Free Beacon pointed to a federal grant program administered by an agency inside the Department of Health and Human Services aimed at helping those with substance abuse problems. Among the approved uses of the $29 million program was the purchase of safe smoking kits and supplies, which the article claimed included crack pipes. But of course, they say that's not true. And what did they cite as evidence that it's not true? Well, Jen Psaki told us it wasn't true. But then to follow up, we asked the Department of Health and Human Services, and they agreed with Jen Psaki. It's not true. Of course, we go back now to Patrick Hoff's great investigative reporting at the Free Beacon, and he actually did something CNN didn't do. He went and got the safe smoking kits from 5 cities: Boston, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Richmond, and New York City. And you can see right there. You see the glass pipes right at the top of each kit? That, my friend, would be a crack pipe. Now, this is all back 2 years ago in 2022, when you've got Jen Psaki denying it. You've got CNN doing their fact check about it. Jen Psaki was asked again at a White House press briefing the next week later, having to do with Marsha Blackburn's concerns.
We are engaged with a range of Democrats and Republicans, and certainly we are hopeful that we will be able to sign this. I would note, though, that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that one of Senator Blackburn's primary concerns is about a relation to the funding of crack pipes. Is this correct? Which is not an issue. So this is an issue that what is happening here is that's potential to hold up funding the government and important programs around an issue that is not an issue.
It's not an issue because there's no crack pipes. They're trying to hold this up because they're claiming that we're funding crack pipes and free crack pipe giveaways. And of course, we're not doing that. And of course, Jen Psaki, to prove her point, cited the CNN fact check that utilized Jen Psaki and HHS to verify their fact check. I'm only half exaggerating, but that's the sort of thing that happens here in Washington, D.C., between publications like CNN and people like Jen Psaki and the Biden White House, which is all very confusing because we've got a lot of different stories that are conflicting, including, of course, this one from the Washington Free Beacon. They're the only ones who actually have physical evidence of what these safe smoking kits include. And there you go. They've got crack pipes right there for all the world to see. But that was 2 years ago. And here we are in 2024. And now the Washington Post has this really important reporting that says fentanyl users get free smoking gear in some cities. And now there's pushback. And I don't know, maybe I'm just looking at this picture right here. That looks a lot like, would you call that a crack pipe? Huh. I wonder if CNN's going to redo that fact check. By the way, I wonder if Jen Psaki will take to the podium today and say, well, the Washington Post has a story now about free crack pipes that taxpayers are paying for. And maybe we were wrong when we denied it years ago. Oh, no, that's right. She doesn't work for the White House anymore. She works for NBC News, doesn't she? She's got her own show. Maybe Patrick Hoff at the Washington Free Beacon should have his own show. Nah, actually, I don't think any of us want that. So what's the moral of this story? Well, when a conservative media outlet comes out with a story that is vehemently denied by the Democrats in the White House or on Capitol Hill, and then it is fact-checked and mocked and ridiculed by mainstream media outlets like CNN, well, just wait a couple of years, and eventually the Washington Post, where democracy dies in darkness, they'll come around and they'll report on the exact same thing that was fact-checked and ridiculed when the conservative media outlet talked about it a couple of years ago. They'll report on it. The person at the White House who denied it vehemently and lied to the American people's face will have gotten a multi-million-dollar job at a major network. And, well, the new reporter at the Washington Post, now covering the exact same story that was done by conservative media 2 years ago, they'll win a Pulitzer Prize. And when all is said and done, your tax dollars will, in fact, be used to buy crack addicts free crack pipes. Because Democrats. That's the moral of the story.